If you've ever wondered why your emotional reactions come on so strong and/or how to support someone who's dysregulated, this video is for you. If you've been to my channel before, welcome back. If you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Ross Taylor and I'm an intuitive counselor. And in today's video, I'm actually responding to two related questions from a viewer. And so grateful for that. I love responding to viewers' questions and viewers' topic suggestions, and this is an example of just that. And so today's video is about two things. The first one is, why is it that when we get emotionally triggered, the reaction comes on so strong? And then the second part is, how do we support someone who is dysregulated or having a panic attack or an anxiety attack and feels overwhelmed? How do we best support them? So I'm going to start with the first part, and this has some different layers to it. So when we react to something, we're not just reacting to what's happening in the moment. So we have a part of us that is storing emotional experiences for reference. In other words, it's a library of information that keeps us safe. And so when we react to something, we're not just responding to what's happening in that situation. We're also accessing that filing cabinet of information that is supporting us to keep ourselves safe. And so depending on the content of that information or that past experience, the response might be that much more intense. So how does this show up? So we're in a situation, someone does something, and we get angry. And as we're getting angry, it's like we lose ourselves. We get to this point of responding in such a way that we don't understand afterwards why we responded that way and how it came on so quickly and why it was so hard to literally not be able to hit the brakes and not react in that way. And I want to give you an idea of what is actually going on when this happens. And for this, we have to thank Dr. Dan Siegel, who created this hand model of the brain. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a fist. And so the brain stem is represented by the wrist, which is our basic bodily functions. The thumb is representing the amygdala, which is part of the subcortical region, which is the more emotional and reactive part of the brain. So this is the part that has the memories that we are responding to. And the interesting thing about the amygdala is that it doesn't time encode. So we can literally be time traveling back to a time when something happened and not realize that it's from 10, 15 years ago and not related to anything going on in the present. The front of the fingers represents the prefrontal cortex, which is the wise and rational part of the brain. So what happens is when something happens in our environment that triggers us, we literally flip our lid. And when we flip our lid, we are now accessing these other parts of the brain that aren't as rational. And that's what happens is we go down this path and we react to what's going on because we've flipped our lid. We've lost connection to the part of ourselves that keeps us rationally able to respond to a situation. The other thing is that we're constantly scanning for signs of threat and signs of safety. Signs of threat, signs of safety. It's happening unconsciously under the surface. It's called neuroception. And when we have a perceived danger, we might not even realize that our body has perceived that danger. And so we could be responding based on that as well. So I think it just really brings some sense to the fact that what's going on is a very powerful experience that could be related to something that isn't happening in the present moment. And I think I've said that a couple times now. And the thing is that the way we work with that is to, obviously, if it's something very intense, to talk to someone and get some support, but also to be able to notice that we're in safe situations. And this is something that's going to change over time. When we create new experiences in our life that are different than the past experiences, those old files that are stored in the system, in that system I'm talking about, in that like metaphorical filing cabinet, they don't become as relevant anymore. They don't become as true. So part of this is really about becoming aware of ourselves. The moment we become aware of something, then we start to change it immediately. So when we have an anger response, for example, that seems to be extreme, the moment we are able to take a step back and realize like there's something going on here that isn't quite lining up, then we start to shift it immediately. The more attention we bring to that, the more we journal about it, the more we talk to people, the more we ask for help, the more we integrate tools into our everyday life that are helping us to be able to manage and sort of hit the brakes on those reactions, the more it's going to change over time. And that's exactly what it takes, is time. And it's important to remember that, we can easily judge ourselves through these reactions, but from that place of flipping our lid, those reactions can make a lot of sense when we take into account our history. So I think I'll leave that piece there. Hopefully that inspires some questions, some thoughts, and some answers. And I just want to go to this second part of the video, which is how do you support someone who's having a reaction or who has become dysregulated? And this is an important topic because I think for myself, and as I've witnessed others in that situation, it's very hard to be in that situation. We want to fix that person's situation. We want to help them feel better. And that's an interesting piece because that can create anxiety in us and it can dysregulate our nervous system. And then that makes it even harder to help that person. The other thing is we live in a society that really values the doing and taking action. And the truth is that the way to support someone might feel like you're not doing enough. So I want to first off share a story. A few years ago, I was supporting a client who was having a panic attack. And I was sitting with this person and helping them to regulate. And at some point, this person looked at me and said, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "What's wrong with me? I'm not sure what you mean by that." And this person then said, like, "I don't understand." He goes, I don't feel anything from you. And I was like, "Oh, interesting." I said, "You're probably used to having someone support you that is feeling anxious, and you're not feeling that with me. You're feeling a sense of calm, and that's unusual for you." And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "What's wrong with you?" I thought that was super funny. So, so here's the thing. We regulate with other regulated nervous systems. So what we can bring to someone who is having an episode or a situation of feeling dysregulated, we just need to be with them. That's the most powerful thing we can do. Just be a presence of calm with them. So that regulated nervous system that we can bring to the table is what will help them. So just sitting beside them, you might also find it helpful to get lower. If they're sitting in a chair, just get lower so that you're less of a threat. Ask if you can place a hand on their back or on their leg, perhaps, whatever is appropriate. You can also ask them to take their hand and place it over their heart. And another thing you can do is just get them to focus on their breath and lengthening their out breath. Those two things are really simple. The hand on the heart, although it may not seem like it helps, it does help. It helps to regulate their nervous system and it makes them feel that they've got someone, with them, even though it's their hand. And the lengthening of the out breath helps to reduce the heart rate, helps bring the heart rate down and to calm the nervous system. So those two cues can be really helpful. But just being with that person, using a soothing voice, less is better. So just using really short phrases, "You're okay, this is going to pass, let's breathe together, put your hand on your heart." Just these simple ways of being, and eventually it'll shift. And that's enough. It may not seem like you're doing enough. It may seem like you need to do more, but just being with someone can be super helpful. That's why a purring cat is so soothing, or a dog can be really helpful to people, because what you have is a regulated nervous system that is connecting with that dysregulated nervous system. I know that there's been times when we've had dogs in the group and the dog will go to the person who's struggling and just sit in front of them. And that presence alone helps to shift that person's nervous system. So I think I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful and that there was some information that guided you or gave you some answers. If you know of someone that might benefit from this video, please go ahead and share it. If you're interested in the work that I do, you can find my website address in the description of the video. And I look forward to connecting with you again next time. Sending you unconditional love. Bye for now.